Before we start today's story, I'd like to apologise for its lateness. This is Shiny's fault. His mate Max turned up unexpectedly on Monday, and they've been playing golf ever since. I don't know what it is, but it seems to take a really long time, and every time Shiny comes home, he's acting really silly. So without further ado, here's today's edition of my life. I opened my eyes and I was hungry. Really hungry. I wanted something to eat, but there wasn't anything around, and Shiny wasn't up yet. This must have been an oversight on his behalf, so I decided to let him know and began barking. After a minute of this, I at last heard some action from inside the house. Shiny stumbled through the back door saying that word again as he stubbed his toe. Out to the white box for breakfast, after which I saw Shiny standing on the back lawn again, waiting for something to happen. I really needed to go, but was embarrassed to do it in front of Shiny, so I just wandered round the backyard waiting for him to go inside. He seemed to be getting more and more impatient, and I really needed to go, but was holding out until he left. Finally, I couldn't wait any longer and had to have a whizzer. As I did, Shiny must have got embarrassed too, because he said "at last" and wandered off inside. Shiny got down on the ground and started the same business with his arms and legs as yesterday. I figured he wanted to play push again, so it was on for young and old. Shiny was really good at this game, and I decided I wanted to be as good as him. So every time he pushed me away, I came back at him even harder, and managed to get a nip on some part of his body. After a while, Shiny got up off the ground, said that word again, and went inside. I realised that by saying that word, it was the end of the game. Naturally, I had won. Barney 7, Shiny 2. I looked around the back room for something to do, and out of the corner of my eye I saw him, lying in among the toys, just staring at me. I wandered over to the toy basket and introduced myself. "Hi, I'm Barney," I said, in a friendly tone. "What's your name?" He just lay there without saying a word. I thought this was pretty rude, so I gave him a nudge with my snout. Nothing. "I'll teach you some manners," I thought, and picked him up and started to chew on his tummy. I threw him up in the air and jumped on him, and chewed some more. "Going to tell me your name now?" I barked at him, but still there was silence. This went on for a couple of minutes, but clearly he was not talking. So I threw him over by the lounge and walked back to the back door to see what was going on. "Is that all you've got?" squeaked a faint voice from behind me. I wasn't sure if I'd heard this or just imagined it. I turned and there he was, just lying there, giving me a cheeky smile. I went back over and demanded to know his name. He refused to tell me, so I decided that I would name him myself. He looked a bit like the cows on the farm where I'd come from, so I called him Cow. He didn't object to that, and so started our friendship. I picked him up and took him over to the back door. "Let's see what Shiny's up to," I said to Cow, and he said nothing, which I took as agreement. Shiny saw Cow and I standing there at the door and decided to let us into the big house. Cow and I went inside. I was so excited I nearly disgraced myself. Well, actually I did. Boy, did that get Shiny stirred up. In an instant he picked me up and put me out on the back lawn. Shiny seemed to go into overdrive, although I'm not sure what he was doing. Mum came out to see what all the commotion was about, and Shiny dobbed on me. Barney 7, Shiny 3. Mum came out the back and told me I was a bad boy. Just the day before I was a good boy for doing the same thing. I was very confused and looked to Cow for comfort. The cunning devil was still inside. How did he manage that? While I was out the back, I thought I would take a look around. It was then I noticed something that had not been there the day before. A really long green snake. It twisted its way from near the tap at the back door, around the clothesline, across the rocks and up into the garden at the back of the yard. It was really big. I wondered whether Mum and Shiny knew it was there. They seemed preoccupied with the mess inside, so I thought I would take care of it myself and get back in the good books. I jumped on the snake, took a large bite and held on for dear life. I shook my head from side to side in order to inflict the most pain. I could feel the life of the snake pulsing through its body, so I bit harder and harder. All of a sudden my teeth pierced its skin and blood came rushing out all over my face and body. Strange, I thought. This blood tastes just like water. It must be a giant green water snake. "Barney, get out of there!" I heard Shiny yelling, and he was soon in the backyard. He fiddled with a tap which seemed to drain all the life out of the water snake and began to collect up the dead carcass. "Bloody little bastard," I heard him say, which I later found out was the name of those things that fly around the barbecue in summer. Mum told Shiny to put the dead snake in the garage behind the barrier so that I couldn't get at it. I wanted to tell Mum that I didn't like eating snakes, but didn't think now was the right time. It had been a busy morning, so after Shiny left for work, I had decided to have a sleep in the little house near the back door. It had a very comfy mat, so I crawled inside and fell asleep in no time at all. I dreamt of being at home with all my brothers and sisters again, wrestling, biting and having fun. I woke with a start as Mum came out the back door and announced it was time to learn how to sit. I was pretty sure I already knew how to, so I wasn't paying much attention. Cow was laughing his head off, but every time I looked at him he stopped, so I never caught him in the act. Mum got my full attention when she produced a tasty-looking snack and held it out in front of my snout. I sat down quick smart, ears forward, back straight, behaving like butter wouldn't melt in my mouth. Mum was happy with this reaction and gave me the treat. It tasted great, so I harassed her for more. She made me sit again, and again I got a treat. I like this game. "Let's try it without the treat now," Mum said. "Let's not," I barked and promptly got into trouble. "Sit, Barney, sit," Mum insisted, but I wasn't going to do any sitting until I could see the treat. After a while, Mum gave up and declared that we would try again tomorrow. When Shiny came home, Mum showed him what I'd learnt that day, with a treat at the end, of course. Shiny thought it was great and ruffled my ears, telling me what a good boy I was. Barney 8, Shiny 3. That night after dinner, Mum and Shiny had coffee. I wasn't sure what that was, but Mum said I could have a coffee treat. I got all excited and started jumping all over the place. Mum said I wasn't going to get anything until I calmed down, and then she told me to sit. Suddenly it twigged that I was never going to get anything again without having to sit first. I wasn't sure that I liked this, but I wanted the treat, so I obeyed and everyone was happy. After I'd finished the treat, Mum told me it was time for bed and put me out the back to go to sleep. I picked up Cow, crawled into my little house and curled up on the comfy mat. It didn't feel so lonely out the back now with my mate Cow there. It didn't take long before I was dreaming once more.